Okay. I think I'm on now. There's a really big delay at the moment, but maybe it'll tighten up over time here. Okay, so thanks for joining us today with this program. Thanks to all the composers. This was really a lot of fun to do, and it's just really cool to see. Oh, good. I see. Hi. Yes, you're okay. Yeah, it's good to see that this kind of music being done that's just totally not something I could possibly imagined, and it just kind of was birthed into the world. So thank you all the composers for making this possible. It's just so great that there's so much creativity out there, and it's just awesome to tap into it and be able to showcase it. So, so there's a couple questions, and feel free to write any other questions in the chat as I answer the few questions that came in. I'm going to start with just an anonymous one from text message. It was, what was the most interesting or innovative thing in terms of approaching prepared piano within the works tonight? The most interesting or innovative thing. I think really what I really enjoy is having soundscapes and mixed media that is also built off of what you're playing already or what you're hearing already in real life. So I really liked Aeryn's piece in that way. That was pretty cool and inspiring. In terms of other really innovative, really specific little things, let me think here. I really liked the way Marina's piece had B flat 3, the B flat just below middle C, B natural 3, C4, which is middle C, and then D flat 4. The way those notes just kind of, and it was the instructions were to create a murmur with those notes that was a little bit irregular and kind of had a murmur effect, and that just sounded so cool. And those 4 notes specifically on that prepared piano setup really inspired me, and I was surprised that how that came out. Let's see here, just checking. All right, let's see if there's any other specific questions. Feel free to ask questions as this goes on, because I will just keep on going with what was asked earlier, and then, just say thank you for coming and let you all go for the night. Mickey plays piano. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The next question is on the list there was Rebecca Burway. Question for Shi-An. In the Moving Puzzles piece, which was Danny Clay's piece in the first half, 1, how long did it take you to perfect playing that with your nose? And 2, did it hurt? So Rebecca Burway is referring to the ending of that piece, and yeah, it's kind of like a musical joke where you play your nose in the middle there. And did it hurt? No, it didn't hurt. It's kind of a weird technique you have to use, if you could call it that. Just the way my head is shaped and the way my nose is shaped, I kind of always feel most comfortable when I turn a little and then do it. So I don't know. It's just a fun thing that ends the piece off. But there is a way to do it for me personally. I don't know. My nose has kind of this ridge, because I got elbowed in soccer when I was younger, and then it has a little tip thing, a little pointy tip thing, and so it just helps to go on an angle. I've never talked so much about that in my life, so thank you, Rebecca, for that question. The other question is Mickey plays piano. Shi-An, what was the process of working with the composers on these pieces? Was it more involved than normal? I imagine it must be really challenging for the composers to write for essentially an 88 piece, like the keys of the piano are 88 keys, an 88 piece ensemble of instruments they've never worked with. And it's like, I think it's like around 50-60 preparations. And yeah, so basically that's a good question. In terms of like, yeah, the normal working process with composers is like an actual collaboration. Like if it's not like a reading or something, where it is, a reading's more just like the composer writes it and then like sees how the performers react to it, and then that's it, it's over, and then maybe give on the spot feedback each way. But for this, yeah, I wanted to try to make it into more of a collaboration with each of the composers and make it, like a more special that way, like to actually have time to like do drafts or to like, have a work in progress, and then kind of, or even on the most extreme, to like mold it together over time. Everyone had a pretty tight time frame, like the Danny's piece is probably the most of a time frame. This is kind of like the premiere recording and everything, but it was first premiered back in September, and we had like summertime, to kind of go back and forth and really like go into it. And Danny's a great collaborator. He would give me prompts, and then he would tweak what I did and really like embraced what I put into it, and then went back and forth and just built this really fun thing out of it. So that, that was really great. We had more time, and it was all electronic. A weird thing about everyone on the program for all 8 composers is that, and I didn't even realize it until this project kind of was at the last stages and finishing up, but it was all composers outside of Chicago. Like, I'm the only person in Chicago out of all 9 of us. And that's like obviously the first logistical concern for, commissioning and working on a piece with a composer. So that was, in a way, it was like a silver lining to not being able to be in person. It kind of was just like, well, everyone's just going to be on the internet anyway. So yeah, in terms of that, was it more involved, and for the instrumentation aspect? Yeah, it's really challenging. I feel for everyone writing pieces, because it's hard to like just kind of imagine what the sounds are going to be, and of course it doesn't work well to just only listen to recordings, especially with something like this, because the sound of one piano with the preparations will be very different from another sound. Yeah, basically, I tried to give some resources, like just recorded the sound of each of the notes, all 88 notes, just one time, and then made it into a tiny little sound file. I know some of the composers use those sound files in some way, either to like experiment with the ideas or to actually build something as an electronic, backtrack with it. And then, just kind of use it as like sort of this is your palette. You can do what you want with it. I think it would probably be advantageous, I guess, if you had electronic like music skills, because then you could just have these sound files and kind of imagine what you can do. But yeah, it's a kind of just the sounds of like percussion instruments is already pretty hard to like hear and imagine. And then the keyboard playing, I feel like is one of those fairly anomalous things. Like if you don't play the piano or the keyboard, it's hard to write music that sounds like it was written for the keyboard, So that's those are all hurdles that everyone embraced and did a really cool job with. And everyone did something different. So, that's the thing. It was just like everyone was given this resource thing. And, and of course the preparations, I listed what the preparations were, like exactly what they were, what material, as exact as I could be. And, and then everyone just went off and did their thing. A few people had, time to like go back and forth, and we got, a little bit further with like, drafts, first draft, second draft, final draft. And, some composers got closer to the end right away and just sent the piece when it was ready. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. One thing to mention too, I think Viet's piece, again and again, could also work for unprepared piano. And so it was, tailored for the sound world, but it could also be a solo piano piece. Yeah, and then let's see here. I think that's about all the questions. I will let anyone else who has questions to just ask it to each other and to yourself. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. ESS has been an awesome just host and resource and makes these concerts possible. There's pretty big stuff going on, like members of Wilco tomorrow night. So it's pretty big deal type, headliners. Sun Ra Orchestra's, yesterday. So, please go and check out ess.org and stay in touch with what they do, there's a lot of stuff they do. And of course, you can always find me at shiancostello.com, Instagram, Shi-An Costello, Facebook, Shi-An Costello. And the composers are all linked to their personal websites if you want to reach out to them individually as well. I think on most places. I mean, you can always Google their names, but you can also find it on shiancostello.com/alloy to get direct links to each of the composers. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a great weekend. And I'm excited for the coming season. Hopefully, we can get through, all the things we're going through together and come out feeling all right. Okay, I wish everyone well. Thank you again for joining us tonight and have a great evening.